Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Our parsha this week is Hukat, and it deals with transitions of eras. In our past several weeks, we have sent spies to the land of Israel who came back mostly with negative reports, which resulted in the generation that left Egypt being sentenced to spend 40 years in the wilderness so that they themselves will not see the land of Israel. Last week, Korach and his band rose up against Moshe, and many of them received fates that will not allow them to enter the land of Israel. Now Moshe, Aharon, and Miriam themselves are faced with their mortality and the end of their era of leadership. We are taught that Miriam dies, and the following verse teaches us. We learn in verse 1 of chapter 20. The Israelites arrived in a body at the wilderness of Sin on the first new moon, and the people stayed at Kadesh. Miriam died there and was buried there. Immediately, verse 2. The community was without water, and they joined against Moshe and Aharon. When Miriam was no longer with them, the Gemara teaches us a miraculous well that was the source of water for the people in the wilderness disappeared along with her. So they go to Moshe and Aharon and complain and quarrel and say, "We're going to die of thirst. Once again, the usual language, why did you bring us to the wilderness to die along with our beasts, along with our cattle?" So God tells them to take a staff and go to a rock and ask the rock for water. Moshe hits the rock twice. And for this, he and Aharon are also sentenced to die in the wilderness before reaching the land. Aharon dies in this parsha as well. He is commanded to ascend the mountain Har Hor, Mount Hor, and Moshe removes Aharon's priestly garments from him and puts them on his son Eleazar, who becomes the new Kohen Gadol, the new high priest. And then Aharon dies in peace, and the entire community mourns him, setting the stage for the next generation of leadership. Moshe, of course, will live for another book of the Torah. We are approaching the end of Sefer Bamidbar, and of course there is Sefer Devarim, which is Moshe himself recounting the Torah. We are ending the period of the wilderness, getting to the last few years, and there is natural transition. We are about to re-enter the sanctuary this Shabbat. We are embracing life after much experience with disease and death. How do we want to mark it? Do we want to change our clothing? Think about what comes with us and what is being left behind, like a well that may not be with us anymore. How do we want to ritually mark this moment? I know that I want to do it with all of you. Shabbat Shalom. I will see you, for those of you who are vaccinated, I will see you in person, 9:30 a.m., Shachrit, Shabbat morning. Shabbat Shalom.